back to Harvesting Hope. This is Hope Zvara, and I have a very special guest for you guys today. My dear friend Scott Colby. We met a few years ago at a speaker conference and instantly gravitated towards each other. He has a charismatic presence that's just going to draw you in, and he's known as the gratitude guy. So if you feel like gratitude is a part of your attitude, or you might need some, we're going to talk with Scott today, and he's just going to share some amazing wisdom. Scott, thanks for being here.
Hey, Hope. I am honored to be here. It's great to know you, and I'm glad to call you a friend, and can't wait for this interview.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's just kick it off. Tell me and the listeners more about yourself. Who do you work with? What do you do? Where do you live?
I live in Denver, Colorado. Actually, I live outside of Denver now. I just moved to Castle Rock. I was looking to scale down my life, and Denver's a big city and just growing and growing. So I moved about 30 minutes outside of Denver about 3 months ago. So I'm now in a town of 60,000, which I'm enjoying. To me, that's small, and I like it.
Awesome.
So thank you for introducing me. You know, I've built a brand called Say It With Gratitude, and I'm all about gratitude, like you mentioned. It's really the one thing that can absolutely change your mood, your day, your life. And I've made a business around it. Right now, we're serving primarily entrepreneurs and small businesses. So when I worked for a company, I didn't feel appreciated. And that was one of the reasons that I went out and started my own business way back in the day. And I see that more and more, how either customers aren't treated very well or team members. And so I want to introduce gratitude to companies to make them a stronger company, make them realize how having a value and a culture of gratitude in your company can make it better for your team as well as for your customers and clients. But really, almost everybody that learns something about gratitude, either from me or from you or from other people, you don't have to own a business to benefit from gratitude. And so it could be something that everybody can use in their life.
I'm curious because I want your description when you talk about gratitude, because I feel like this is something that a lot of people are missing from their life. They might say thank you. They might lay in bed and go, I'm so grateful for my kids. But, true gratitude where it's just like you feel it in your bones. I mean, how do you describe that to people? Because I do feel like for a big part of our culture, especially in America, it's either we're super, super grateful and we're giving and we're tithing and we're kind and we're compassionate and we go out of our way to give the good review on Yelp, not just the bad one. But then there's the other part of the culture where it's kind of void of their lives. And I'll tell you what, I tend to believe that those people are not as happy.
Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit more, like, what is gratitude? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's sometimes easy to be grateful when things are going good, right? You landed a new client. Hey, I'm feeling really good. But I think the problem with that is you're relying on other things to happen to actually make you feel good. What about the times where things aren't going right in your life, where maybe you got, laid off from a job, or broke up in a relationship, or even just stuck in traffic? How do you find the good in those things? And that's how you mentioned it's really about living in a state of gratitude. And don't really just flip the switch overnight and start living in a state of gratitude. But there are things that you could do every day to build that gratitude habit so that you can start having a gratitude attitude and a gratitude mindset for the good times and for the bad times. So for me, it's really about thinking about, not just going through the motions and writing in a gratitude journal like, hey, today I'm grateful for my dog, my job, and my wife. Tomorrow I'm grateful for, my health, my house, and my car. Those are
the surface stuff.
The surface level. I think you need to go deeper. I'm grateful for my wife because I had a rough day at work. I came home. She greeted me with a smile. We had a nice dinner together. She rubbed my shoulders because I had some stress built up. And I'm really appreciative that my wife is in my life. That is going a little bit deeper and just saying, why you're grateful for somebody or for something. So that's one easy way to just really start to cultivate that habit and that mindset of gratefulness is start to say why you're grateful for the
Mm.
things or the people in your life. And then another one is just finding the gratitude in everything. So I mentioned, all right, I'm stuck in traffic where, I might be late for a meeting. That can put us in a negative mindset and really spiral our day in the downward, direction. So how do you find the gratitude in something like that? Well, hey, just appreciate that you do have a car. Some people have to take, a bus to work, or they might not even have a job to go to. So you can start thinking of things that, okay, at least I have a job to go to. At least I have a car, and maybe I'm in a car with a friend of mine, and we have a meaningful conversation, or there's beauty around me that I can take the time to appreciate while I'm stuck in traffic. So it's just doing those little things over and over again where you're going to start to actually live in gratitude. And like you mentioned, notice that you're much happier for doing so.
That's so powerful, because I think the downward spiral of, we're always focusing on the negative. Our brains are wired to negative first. So we really have to train ourselves to think otherwise. And you really struck a chord with me when you're describing the car ride, because it is so easy to, again, stay at the surface and be like, oh, blunt my life. This is so crappy. I have to go to my crappy job and my boss doesn't like me and this car just cut me off and I'm in traffic. But looking at the other flip side, it really kind of gets you in conversation with your own life and realizing that you're actually responsible for a lot of your happiness, and it really can stem from gratitude. I always think about, like, try to be grateful for something and be angry at the same time. It's really hard. It's
Right.
really, really hard.
Yes.
And so that's really powerful to actually start to have that conversation about the situation and see if you can find those things of gratitude. And I know for me, when I started with gratitude, I almost like could feel like an inner struggle going on. Like, don't do it, Hope. Stay unhappy, stay miserable. Like, that's so dumb. Why would you be happy and grateful for that? And can you kind of describe, like, how does somebody, I know this might be not a question to be able to answer initially, but how does someone get over that hump of, like, okay, yeah, I know I need to be grateful, even a company, but they don't see value in it? Like, how, you kind of know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get through that barrier?
I mean, it's really, if let's say you're in a company and they don't value gratitude and they're always telling you, things that you do wrong, and it doesn't feel like they appreciate you, then you got to take the lead. If that's something that you want more of, dish out more of it, right? You
Ah.
get what you put out there. So even if the people around you are complaining, that doesn't mean you have to live a life of complaining and negativity and victimhood, right? You can
Mm.
put out there what you want more of. So you can start showing appreciation to your coworkers, your team, your boss, even if you don't feel like they're showing appreciation to you, because they'll start to maybe think, hey, Scott gave me a compliment
It's
today.
hard to be mean to a nice person.
Right. It's hard to be rude to a nice person. So you can start, showing gratitude to other people, write them notes. I'm a big believer in the power of handwritten notes. Tell somebody what you like about them. It doesn't have to be just for performance, but hey, I like, you mentioned that I exude some sort of radiant, I don't know what you said, Hope, but it made me
Yeah.
feel good when you were introducing me. So how am I going to be mean to you back when you just gave me a compliment? So start complimenting people on their character and not just focus on their performance. And that'll kind of get the wheel spinning on, okay, maybe we do need more gratitude in our business. This feels good. I think we can put more out there. So it really starts with you and not waiting for other people to give you gratitude. You can start putting it out there at any time.
And something that you said really, it was powerful, and it made me think about kind of at least on social media, one of the big things is like, quit your 9-to-5 job, work for yourself. And my thought is always, not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. But you said something that was super powerful, because you said you go to your job and your boss, or there's a lot of negativity. Maybe changing your job is not the answer. Maybe you changing the environment of the job is. And so that was really powerful, and that struck a chord with me, because what if that job is perfect for you, but part of your purpose is for you to really kind of change the energy by using gratitude, thanking your boss for the great things that he does for you, and your coworkers, and kind of showering them with gratitude and love to change the environment, so you have the ideal job then, and you fostered that. That really just like struck a chord with me, that sometimes it's not about you just jumping ship. Sometimes you got to be grateful for the ship and help others see that too.
Yeah, and I love that. And I read part of a book. I often don't finish books, Hope, but I read part of a book, and I can't remember the name of it, but they talked about the same thing, but in your living environment. So in other words, the author of the book kept moving around to different states and cities, because they were never satisfied where they were. They were always looking for that next, the perfect geographical location. And every time they moved, they felt like there's something missing in my life. Well, then she started to think of, all right, what if I just put out there and start doing more of what I want in my current situation? So forget, trying to move and strive for perfect weather. What if I start volunteering in my community? What if I lead a hiking group? What if I invite people over for dinner once a week and start to develop this community of people? Then in turn, you're going to love where you live. And the same thing could be said for your job. It may not be practical to switch jobs every time your boss, makes you angry. So look to see.
And it might cause more unhappiness and frustration.
Right. So look to see where you can start to change your mindset and put out there what you actually want in your job.
I love that. I'm curious, what was either, maybe this is part of your turning point where because you weren't always the gratitude guy. You kind of were, but you weren't always. What kind of struggle, or have you had a struggle in your life that has kind of forced you to look at your current situation and say, I got to change? And I'm sure there's many, but does one come to mind that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, definitely my trip to Guatemala. I mean, I think I maybe didn't even know I needed to change, but I took a trip to Guatemala in the summer of 2014, and I went there to build schools in a very poor community. And it was an incredible life-changing experience for me. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. I just knew, hey, I want to volunteer with kids in a third world country. That's just something I had in my head that I wanted to do and just experience that. And as the first day we were volunteering, we stayed in a really poor conditioned hotel. The bus took us about 90 minutes with all the volunteers to a community where we were going to build schools. And as the bus pulled up and I stepped out of the bus, I was completely shocked by what I saw. I didn't really expect this at all. There was like 2 lines of people from the community, kids, grandparents, parents, babies, and they have all lined up to welcome us, the volunteers. And I stepped out of the bus and I was walking between the 2 lines of people. Felt like I was walking the red carpet because there was rock music playing. They were giving us high fives and smiles and hugs. They were so appreciative of us volunteers being there. And I was like, I've never felt this outpouring of support in my own community here in Denver. I don't see that or feel that. How can I feel that in a third world country by strangers who don't have anything?
In seconds of arriving.
I felt so much love. And these people didn't have, they don't have these. They don't, they don't have much money. So they can afford clean water or much food. They're living in really cramped conditions. Their schools are really cramped, which is why we're there to help build them a new classroom. And in the week that I was there, what I really witnessed was gratitude. They were grateful for what they did have. And they weren't complaining about not being able to watch TV or not being able to play video games or talk on a smartphone or text or whatever on a smartphone. Yeah, I guess you don't even make phone calls on phone anymore these days.
Yeah, you really don't.
And so it just really opened my eyes to community and gratitude. And when I got back to Colorado, I wanted to really change myself first. And I became super sensitive to the complaining. I mean, I knew there was complaining around, of course, but I think I became much more aware of it coming back from Guatemala, not just in other people, but myself. So again, it starts with me, right? If there might be other people complaining and not smiling, not saying hello when you pass them on a sidewalk, but what can I do for me? I can start within and start smiling at people and saying hi. I remember in Guatemala, everybody says buenos dias, good morning, and you rarely see it. At least a lot of times where I live, a lot of times you pass somebody and they're on their phone, looking down, or they don't smile. And so what can I do to bring gratitude to other people? It could be just simple as smiling, saying hello, doing some volunteer work in my local community, starting to write cards. So putting out there really what I want the world to be. I mean, it's a daunting task to want happiness for everybody, but really I would love everybody to be happy and be positive, because I think the world will be a better place. And so what can I do to do my part are these little things like sending out cards and smiling at people. But that was a big aha moment for me, was actually leaving the country, seeing how other people live and seeing how they actually live in gratitude despite having very little.
Wow, that's powerful. And it just makes me think of, I spent a lot of time out of the country, so I've had a similar experience. And it is so powerful because they have so little, but yet they are so flippin' happy. It's like, and so grateful for like just the tiniest little things. It's almost to the point where it's like, okay, I know you're grateful. Like, okay.
Right.
And imagine what that would be like if we would all be like that more. But it does have to start with one person, because it is a trickle effect. And if everyone keeps thinking, well, I'll do it when they start, and then no one ever starts, how will it ever change? And so that attitude of gratitude, that is such a powerful story. I follow the philosophy that like small little bite-sized changes or implementations into life can lead you down a path of more permanent change. Now, I know that's not always the case for everything, but I have found for a more long-term success, that has worked really well for me and for many other people. Do you have any suggestions? Like you were saying, like just the smile and be happy, or, little things like, what should they start with? So they just start with something like, smiling at strangers, or like, what would be some small little steps that people could take to have a better attitude of gratitude?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned this, Hope, because really it's all about habits. And if you try, I come from a fitness background,
Yep.
as you know, and if you try to overwhelm, let's say a client you're working with, like, all right, you're going from 0 to working out 5 times a week, and you're going to not eat any, sweets, and you're going to get 8 hours of sleep, and all these changes at once, it's really, you're doomed to either fail or have short-term results, and then you go back to some of your old habits because you tried to overwhelm yourself with too many things at once. And so I love, like you mentioned, doing these small things, but doing them consistently. I think consistently is when you're going to see long-term changes, and it can be very small. And I've read even these habit experts that might say, okay, you want to exercise to be one of your habits, a daily exercise. What is the smallest increment of exercise that you could do each day? Well, it could start with one push-up. Now, it may sound silly just to do one push-up, but think about if you're just creating that habit of one push-up a day, and then eventually you can build on that. But the key is just get into the mindset, okay, got to do my push-up today. All right, I did it. You feel good when you get a win, and then you move on to the next day.
I love that. When you get a win, that is so powerful.
And when you set a big goal, like, all right, I'm going to do an hour workout, and oh, shoot, I didn't have time to get it in. And now I feel bad because I didn't do it. And like, we're programmed to sometimes feel like we've failed, and that affects the next day's goal of trying to get that hour workout in. So we talked about what are some of these micro things that you could do. Something simple. I mean, it's going to probably be what feels good to us. So it could be a smile. It could be just a goal of saying good morning to every, not to every, but to one person each day that you maybe normally wouldn't say good morning to. Something a little bit more ambitious is writing a card. But I think you should, whatever habit that you decide to go for should be small, should be manageable and realistic, as that what we've learned when we're setting our goals. But it should be something that feels good to you. So if for me, you might be surprised, but I don't really write in a gratitude journal. And it's basically because I've never gotten into that habit, so to speak. So it's been more meaningful for me to do and show gratitude in other ways. So don't feel like, oh, I have to go out and buy a gratitude journal tonight and start writing in it tomorrow. If that doesn't feel good to you, maybe a smile, or maybe going down to your local rescue mission and seeing how you can serve there. And maybe that's something that feels better for you. So find something that works for you, but the key is to be consistent. And so make that goal manageable and realistic and small enough so you can do it consistently.
Here's what I like about you, Scott, and you sum this up really well. You are about sharing gratitude, not just about having gratitude, because I think there's a difference. And I'm not saying writing in a gratitude journal is wrong or bad, but when you write in a gratitude journal, it's kind of just for you. Mm-hmm. And maybe your higher power or God or whoever, and maybe that might provoke you to do more good things the next day, which is great. But one of the things that really comes across with you and your messaging is you are always about sharing gratitude with others. It's about writing the card to somebody else that provokes them maybe to be grateful back to you or back to somebody else. You're about smiling to somebody else. That might have been their worst possible day. Their dog could have died. They could have found out they had cancer. They could have stubbed their toe, and you smile at them. So you are really about that next step, which is human contact. Yeah. And sharing that action, which is a huge part of our culture right now with technology. We're closing ourselves off. We're not communicating. We're not getting in touch with people. And you're saying, stop that, be grateful, but also let's connect again, which is a huge part of that gratitude piece. So I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, that's big. I love that you brought that up. And that's why I like the cards, because, you get joy writing the card, and then you get to give joy to somebody else. And we live in a day, like you mentioned, with so much technology where we're sending off quick text messages or emails or Facebook messages that don't have that deep meaning. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe
an emoji is not meaningful.
I know. I think I'm selfish because I put out there what I want more of, because I have written more cards in the last 2 years, and I've gotten more cards in the last 2 years than I've ever gotten before. And this is in a day and age where cards really aren't as popular because of all the other ways that you can communicate with people. I like to bring it old school, and I just imagine somebody walking in their mailbox and getting my card and the smile, because I know I'm smiling. We get 10 bills a month or and ads and all that, and when you see that envelope that's handwritten and you get that in the mail, you're like, yeah, I'm ripping it open. I want to see what somebody has said about me, and it just feels good. So why not put that out there for others to enjoy?
I love it. I'm curious, what is your daily routine like? Because I know you have previously been into fitness, but what is your self-care kind of daily routine like?
Sure. Great question. And I would say it changes. So I like to start my day with self-care, but it's not the same. It might be the same for a month, and then I'll change it up, because routine is, for entrepreneurs. Yeah, for entrepreneurs, we don't like a whole lot of routine sometimes. So currently, I'm waking up, like today, I woke up at 5, and I live in an apartment, so my community has a gym, which is great. I could just walk to the gym, which makes it very convenient. So my mornings start with some sort of exercise, some movement, and I like to make it a pretty short workout, but an intense workout, so I'm actually feeling it. My morning routine also consists of meditation. That is one thing that's almost a non-negotiable for me, is meditation. I like guided meditation, just somebody with a relaxing voice. Sometimes I fall back asleep, listening to it, but it really calms me and centers me before I start my work day. And then another thing that I normally do each and every day is read. I just find you can learn so much from books. And then things like thank you cards aren't done every day, but they're done on a very consistent basis. So that's my gratitude. I think right now I feel like I'm in a habit of gratitude. So if I don't write a card in one day, it's no big deal, because I feel like I can understand how to bring myself back from a negative, mindset if I'm experiencing that. Now, that's not, of course, I'm not perfect at that, but that's something that I feel like I don't need daily to write something down, as we've talked.
That's your life. That's how you live. That's really in your, it's so much, those little steps have added up so much now that that's just who you are as a character, as a person.
Exactly. And that's really my routine that I like to do almost daily. I do love connecting. So if I work from home, and if there's a day where I don't have human connection, which is weird because I'm kind of an introvert, but if I'm by myself, I live alone, I work alone. So if I'm by myself all day, I'll feel my mood change. And I got to get outside and either go for a walk in, nature,
Yes.
or be around somebody so I can actually talk to them, even if it's just a barista. And I, talk to them for a couple minutes. That will just really change my mood. And so it goes back to the technology. I think technology is on the downside of technology.
Kind of robbing us of that a little bit.
Robs us of our connection and interaction, real life interaction with people. So I want to bring more of that into my life.
You listening to you, it made me kind of think of the, we all have that person in our life where they're like, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, nobody pays attention to me. And it makes me think of this whole conversation, because we'll start paying attention to other people and they will start paying attention to you. Yeah. Like, start being more grateful to the people around you and they will turn around and pay more attention to you. And that's just such a great, because it's a me society in some regards, that your message is just so powerful. And it's just, be grateful, look at other people, be kind. And as simple as that is, if it was so simple, we all would be doing it. Mm-hmm. And it's just a message we need to be hearing over and over again. And so I'm curious, do you have a coach or a mentor or a guide? Like, who has helped you? Or is it just more been like self-provoked and reading books and doing things?
No, I definitely have had people that have helped me. I'm a big believer that people are your greatest resource. And so it's community. And so that one of the things I didn't mention, my trip to Guatemala, the community was there the entire week to help build that classroom side by side with the volunteers. And I think life is not easy. It can be challenging at times, and you don't want to go through life alone. And so I've had mastermind groups that I've been a part of, and I still am, which is a group of about 10 business owners. We'll get together, we'll help each other on our businesses. I've had two I would consider mentors / coaches from the fitness industry that still I learn from to this day. And we're friends now that I rely on. And just like, when you're looking to make a big decision, or you're launching a book, or you're launching this gratitude summit, you have people in your corner. Like, I'm in your corner, Hope. I want you to do good on this summit, so I'm going to help you in any way that I can. That goes back to people are your greatest resource. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I feel like if you're afraid to ask for help, you're probably not going to reach your potential. And then you might not be able to make that impact that you're born to make. because maybe you were afraid to ask for help or think that you have a dumb question. And so, yes, I'm constantly learning, not only from books, but also from coaches and mentors.
Which fosters gratitude.
Yes, which fosters gratitude, mastermind groups, and just everybody that I consider in my corner, my champions.
That's fabulous. What does living your best life mean to you, Scott?
Oh, hope,
I know that's a big question,
It is.
but let us in a little bit to what that feels like for you.
Yeah, that is a big question. For me, living my best life is just, I could probably describe it better by thinking about my own personal life and what, like, eating healthy and exercising and having gratitude and growing my business, and helping companies with their business by helping them implement gratitude. But really, for me, it comes down to like doing things that make you happy. I think I know that I didn't originate this quote, but I think I said this quote once, and then I started to see it everywhere. Do more of what makes you happy. And so if you're doing things, and if you have a job that makes you unhappy, and if you have a relationship that makes you unhappy, and if you have you're not doing things that you love, like I love adventure and hiking and whitewater rafting. So doing more of that would help me live my best life. Impacting more companies, because companies may have thousands of clients. And so if I make a company better, I'm potentially making thousands of their clients have better lives. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm living my best life. Community, we talked about friendships and relationships, very important to me. I don't want to do this just for me. Just like it doesn't do me any good to make $1 million if I have nobody to share it with, or either a charity or people to share it with, or other people to impact. And so it's just really kind of, that's a long-winded answer, but this is some of all of that for me.
Can you say that quote again that you said, because that was a very powerful quote.
Yeah, I said, do more of what makes you happy.
Now, and I just think about that, and I kind of have, how you have that like flash forward, like I'm almost like watching a movie in my head, and I'm just thinking about what if we all would do more of what made us happy. And I know then people will say, well, Hope, it's not that easy, but on a small scale, it actually is. It really is. Like, you're grumpy and you look at your kids and you start yelling at them. Like, what if you say you have no time? You just go outside and play with them in the snow for 10 minutes. Imagine what joy that 10 minutes would bring them and how that would make you feel. And going to work and being happy that, like you said, you have a job to go to, and being happy that you have the ability to choose to go to a job. Last night I was teaching yoga, and in relaxation, I was just before they kind of drifted off into their space, I just kind of reminded them, like, be grateful that you had a choice to even show up here today. Be grateful that you were able to get down on the floor with ease and you didn't need assistance. Be grateful that you could put your own socks on today, that you could put your own pants on, that you had a car to actually get into that actually drove and wasn't leaking oil. And it's kind of what you were saying. It's just we forget that we have a choice to be happy every day, and gratitude plays so much into that, Scott. And so just thank you so much for being on here. I love that quote. I think that's going to have to like be on my wall or something, because that is so, it puts it back in your court that you have a choice. Just like you have a choice to be grateful, or be kind of like a, that person where you can feel when they're just like, stay away from me.
Yeah. And it comes down to our choices. Like for me, I sometimes like, all right, I'm putting so much effort into my business, I have to go for a hike if I want to do more of what makes me happy. I mean, my business makes me happy, but sitting in front of a computer for 10 hours doesn't. And so it's my choice to shut the computer down. I won't do it now, but shut the computer down and go out for a 15, 20-minute hike in the beautiful Colorado scenery. And that's what makes me happy, and that fulfills me. And if I don't do that, the mood kind of shifts.
And it's a trickle effect. Then you're not being as productive in your work. And I think that's an important message for people, what you're sharing. I know for me, it's like, I can tell I start, shrinking in front of the computer, and then I'm angry and I'm crabby and I'm mean and I'm like, who is this person? So that is just so powerful. Any last words for the listeners on this interview today?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, anybody watching, I'm grateful for you, because if you're watching to this point, that means you felt like my message, maybe made an impact for you. So I appreciate you watching and following Hope. You have the opportunity to make the most out of your life. We've stated it a couple times. It's your choice. So just think about what's one thing that you can do right now in your life that's going to give you more joy, and maybe bring a friend with you so they can have some joy too.
I love it. How can we find you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, Say It With Gratitude. So I'm on there, or you can, add me underneath my personal name, Scott Colby, so I can get to know you there. And then my website is sayitwithgratitude.com, so you can learn a little bit more about what I'm doing there.
Yeah, especially if you have a business that wants to add more gratitude in. And you have a book. Can you tell us what the title is very quick?
Yes, the book is called The Grateful Entrepreneur. And if you go to sayitwithgratitude.com, you can download a free digital copy of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Scott, thank you so, so much. This was such a joy. I was like, oh yeah, it's going to go like 25, 30 minutes. And we just kept talking because this was so good. This was so good.
This is what we do, Hope.
I know. We have the same vibe. But thank you so much for being on this summit today. Thank you for your time, your energy, all your enthusiasm. For those of you that have tuned into this interview, I just want to thank you so much. And just remember that no matter how hard it gets, no matter where you are in life, never lose hope. Never lose hope that there is something out there for you, that you can be happy every day. And as Scott said, it starts with a grateful heart. So thank you guys so much. And until we see you again for the next interview, from my heart to yours, from my soul to yours, have a great day. Bye now.